Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel and thank you as always for tuning in. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Layla, the Lenormand reader, and today folks we are doing another pick-a-card reading. As you can see, I have 4 different stones here, which means we are going to do 4 different readings. And what I'm going to do for today is I'm going to do a 4x9, so we're going to do 4 different portraits, but I am going to use one deck for all 4, which means I'm going to divide the deck into 4 piles of 9. The question for today is, what are they thinking about you right now? So this can be someone you are attracted to, it can be your lover, it can be your partner, it can be anyone in your life that you feel has quite a bit of relevance to you and your feelings and your thoughts right now. So let's go ahead and divide the deck into our 4 piles of 9. And while I do that, you might want to resonate into the different stones here, which ones you think you want to tune into for the reading. And also think about that person you have in mind for this reading. So let's go ahead and deal out those piles. Okay, here are our 4 piles of 9 cards. Again, tune into the different piles that you think you might want to tune into for this reading. I'm just going to go over the 4 stones with you here. We've got the Lapis stone, this is the Serpentine stone, and Cat's Eye stone, quite an interesting stone this one, and Opalite stone. As usual, you're going to find the timestamps in the description box, and I will see you in your reading. Okay, Lapis stone, here we are with your 9 cards. These are the ones I dealt out from the outset. I'm going to leave them in this order and just deal them out into your portrait. Okay, Lapis, here we are with your cards. As you can see, we get the woman right in the center here. This can be highlighting the relationship for you. It can represent a certain woman of relevance to you right now, or she can represent you as well. I'm interested with the tree here being at the top. The tree is a slower card, just like the tower is. This can mean that this person is taking their time or wanting to think more about the relationship. And we do have a couple of somewhat challenging cards. We have the clouds and the mouse on the right hand side column, and also the fox can be a little bit tricky in the context of relationships. The star, clover, and flowers are 3 of the brightest cards of the deck. So these are going to have a really positive influence on the outcome and on the situation here about what this person is thinking about you right now. So I suggest we weave the lines together. It's going to make more sense. It usually makes more sense when we have apparently contradictory cards to start with the lines and then build the picture from the ground up. So the tree, woman, and mouse. I really feel that this person, let's call her a she for the purpose of this interpretation, I feel she's having doubts about the situation or the relationship with you right now. It's really the mouse that brings this up, but also the tree is a card of taking time out, being on one's own. It's a good card for solitude. So I feel that she wants to step back a little bit and think about this. Now, it doesn't have to be she, like I said, but just for the sake of this portrait, let's think of her in these terms because of the woman in the middle. So that's for starters. The clover, woman, and clouds is somewhat similar. I think these 2 lines have a somewhat similar structure because of the mouse and clouds here that wraps up the lines. And the clouds is the card of thinking. It can be a bit tense. It can cloud things, cover over the sun, as it were. But the clover is a really positive card that suggests that there's a good reason why she might want to do this. And I have to say that you might also want to do this. You might also want to consider about where this relationship is heading, or think about them, think about what they're thinking about you. There could be some thoughts that maybe you have in common, and there is a good reason why it's a good time to sort of step back a little bit and consider what's going on here. Let's continue with the lines. We have the tree, flowers, and clouds. Now, even though the clouds wraps up the line, it's on the right hand side of the line. The flowers is a very beautiful card. It's all about optimism, renewal. It's also really good for forgiveness. and the idea of releasing doubts, releasing unhealthy thoughts, very much like the clover would affect the clouds. So it's really nice to see it here. And with the tree at the outset, so when we look at all three together, I feel this person wants to step back to think about things. I think she has really good intentions, very supportive, but just needs to clarify her intentions, clarify her thoughts, and where she stands relative to the relationship. But in general, I feel she has a really positive and optimistic outlook on this. The Tower, Woman, and Star is a lovely line. So this is where we see very clearly that this person can come through and that she gets over this roadblock or, whatever is holding her back right now, the doubts that are represented by the mouse and clouds. The Star is an all-around wish fulfillment and healing card. And when we see it after the Tower, we have this idea of overcoming the past, because the Tower can be associated with the past and the long term. So I feel that this is one line where we get a good sense that she's coming through, or she's going to come through after her little lull here, the phase where she's taking a bit of time out. In the bottom, we have the clover, fox, and mouse. This might have been a bit trickier if we didn't have the clover, because the fox is pretty tricky in relationships. The fox is a card of deception, usually, someone who is half-hearted and self-interested. But because of the broader context, I think it's not like that as much as it is more about this woman is thinking about, well, what about her? What about her good? What about her interest? And it comes through in a more fair kind of way, where people are entitled to think about where they stand relative to a relationship or a situation. What is in it for them? It is fair to ask this question. And so this is where the doubts could be coming through. So she could be wondering what is in it for her. What does she get out of this relationship? And we see this more positive aspect of the fox and mouse coming through because of the clover, but also in the T-cross of the central column, which is the flowers, woman, and fox. So normally when we see the fox and flowers, it would suggest someone who is just flattery for the sake of trying to get their way, someone who flatters without really meaning it, almost falls to your face type of thing. But like we said, because of the broader interpretation of the card, the broader energy of this portrait, I feel that it's more about really asking herself in an honest way and a fair way what is in it for her. But again, the clover and flowers are both really, really positive cards on top of the star that we saw that is also in the right hand side of the portrait. I feel this person is willing to move past the issues or the doubts that she's having and move into this relationship. This line is going to prove a little bit tricky, but let's keep moving forward and building these lines together. So the tree, tower, and clover, this is a beautiful line, very positive for the long term. Both the tree and the tower are slower cards, and also interestingly enough, they are cards of solitude, very much associated with the idea of being on one's own. And with the clover here, it is actually really supportive. So again, we're seeing the idea that it is a good idea to take a step back, to take some time out, to step back to see things a bit differently, to change one's perspective. That's what I feel is strongly coming through here. There's a good reason for taking your time and her taking her time, and to allow things to unfold in a more natural way. Like we saw in the second column, she could be holding back a little bit. She had some doubts, but again, I feel that because of the flowers, especially at the top here, the top being associated with intentions, I feel she has good intentions. She just wants to play it smart. She just wants to make sure that, she's doing the right thing and you're doing the right thing in the relationship, so that it actually works out in a way that doesn't disadvantage her, which is fair. Like we're saying, it's a fair question. Now, the cloud, star, and mouse would be a bit trickier because we have two tricky cards that are on either side of the star. At the same time, the star is one of those, super positive cards in the Lenormand deck, a bit like the clover and the sun. Very, very powerfully positive, all about wish fulfillment and healing. So I think it's only a matter of time before this person comes around and resolves her doubts, resolves the question marks that she has about you and the relationship with you. I would say, Lapis group, it's important to give this person time and space. It's important not to be pushy, and it's important for her or him to come around to their own conclusion. So let them come around to their own conclusion, and I'm pretty sure they're going to see that they have good reason to keep connecting with you, to stay in a relationship with you, and to see it in a positive way, regardless of what this relationship is about. I think these ideas apply equally well across the different contexts. These cards in general are pretty much neutral. They don't really tell us what area of life this might be figuring in. It's possible that because of the Tower and Fox, it can point to the job, but it doesn't have to be really. It can be in any context. So to wrap up, Lapis group, like we said, I think this person needs a bit of space. They could be working through some doubts and question marks, maybe about you, but I think also about them and their future. Maybe about you, but I also think also about them. Like they're wondering what's in it for them in a fair way, not in a selfish way. They're thinking about what it does for them, how it affects them, and it can also be a focus on the long term. So what this does for them over the long term. They are working through some doubts, some issues that they have on mind. I would say, Lapis group, stand back, let them figure this out. Don't be pushy, keep being optimistic, and just stay grounded in your own sense of goodness, and I think that is the type of thing that people pick up really well when you're not when you're not trying to prove yourself. Somehow the more you try to prove yourself, the more doubt people have. So when you are someone who doesn't feel they need to prove themselves, and you're sitting in yourself with humility and kindness, people pick up that you're not trying to cover anything, you're not trying to be someone you're not. And I think with the Tree, Tower, and Clover and the other positive cards here, it's a really good suggestion to follow. So just have confidence in yourself, that quiet calmness, and that sense of awareness and optimism in oneself that can be contagious to other people, and so people come around and feel that they can stick with this relationship with you, and they can they see it as a positive thing. So I would say overall, Lapis group, this person needs time and space to think through matters. I think their questions and the thoughts that they're going through are justified. In the meantime, let that happen. Nothing to be pushy about. Let it go, relax, and soon enough things will turn around, and this person will come around, and the relationship picks up again, I feel. So let me know how you like these ideas, Lapis group. I'm really looking forward to your thoughts and your comments. Very best of luck with it, and until we meet again, thank you so much for watching, and take very good care of yourself. Okay, Serpentine group, here we are with your cards and your lovely stone, and these are the 9 cards that I dealt out from the outset. We are going to lay them out in your portrait. I keep them in this order, as you might know, and let's see what comes up for you for this question. Okay, Serpentine group, these are some really good cards. I know you're going to see there's the whip in here, and you're going to say, oh, this is a challenging card, and how does it rock the boat of this portrait? Yes, it is a challenging card, and it might rock the boat a little bit, but I really like where it is positioned in the spread, and I really like what I'm seeing on the central and the right-hand side of the portrait. So when we look at just these 2 cards, the 2 key cards, the top one, the garden, and the anchor in the center of it all, I think this is someone who is committed to stick with this relationship. I think they're committed to their relationship with you, to their friendship with you, and I think they want to see things work. The fish can bring up the idea of money, so this can be a relationship that is more about your work life or your practical side of the picture for you. And on top of that, there is the dog, so I feel this can point to a friendship more than anything else. So if you were hoping maybe for a love relationship to come out of this, this relationship at this point, maybe it is tending more to a friendship. But I want to hold off on these conclusions just yet. I prefer to weave the different lines of your portrait into a whole, and then we can come up with the overall takeaway from the reading. So let's go ahead and start with the individual lines. The garden, anchor, and fish is a strong triplet for security. That sense of rootedness, groundedness, very much coming through the garden and anchor, and with the fish here, that sense of security comes through, and also with the house, as we're going to get to in a bit. So I feel this is a relationship that has a strong footing, it has a solid foundation. I think you can trust that you can rely on this person, even if there were some challenges. I also think this person is committed to the relationship with you. I think that it's possible that you get together, because the garden is also a card of place and events. And so it's possible that there is this idea of wanting to be together, wanting to see you, wanting to be with you. And the fish, in terms of love, can point to attraction and maybe the more physical aspects of a relationship. The whip, anchor, and dog. Here we see that there could have been an issue. The fact that the whip is in the left-hand side part of the portrait can suggest that this was a challenge that you went through. This was maybe a bit of a conflict or a disagreement that came through. But because of the anchor and dog after the whip, it's still likely that you're going to overcome these differences, this conflict, and come back into a relationship. In the very least, a friendship. In terms of the friendship, I think you can trust this person. This is a secure relationship, and it doesn't look like much can, rock it or cause doubts. I think despite the whip, which is the most negative card of the deck, despite the whip, we are seeing a strong connection. So I think this can be a really reassuring message for you, Serpentine, that despite the challenges or the differences that came up recently or maybe a while back, there is still a strong connection. And this is how this person feels. The garden, child, and dog can represent new relationships, new contacts, new social atmospheres because of the garden. And maybe at this point you're encouraged to socialize, maybe meet some people. Maybe that will help broaden, your sense of social connections. Maybe that's what you need. You might want to network, especially when it comes to work and, just being part of your community at large. So that's in a general sense. But specifically for this relationship, I think this person wants to give this a new chance. The child is the card of beginnings. The dog is about friendship, and the garden is about that sense of space and place. And so I feel that this person wants to turn the page, and as we saw with the second diagonal, wants to really stick with this relationship, turning the page on the previous chapter, which likely is involving that conflict, and move into a new chapter with you. So I feel this is another very positive message. I want to look at the T-cross, the central column here. That T-cross is at the child, anchor, and cross. I feel we're seeing a similar indication here. Like the anchor and dog point to a strong relationship, and they have the child in common here, this idea of a new chapter and sticking with it. The cross is a bit more challenging, can represent burdens, maybe even regrets, especially with the whip nearby. So it's possible that this person regrets the issues and really wants to give this another chance. So I feel these are really supportive messages that tell you that they're coming from a good place, that they are committed to the relationship, and they want to make this work. So I feel this is a strong supportive message. The cross can point to a decision, but really I think the decision is made. The idea of wanting to stick with the relationship is the decision that this person will make. So another angle on these cards that suggests positive outcomes or positive forward movement. The key, anchor, and house. Another strong message of being grounded, rooted, firm foundations. The house has strong foundations. The anchor is solidly rooted together, all the more so. And with the key, all around success and positivity. So here is another very clear, very powerful set of cards indicating that this person wants this relationship with you, is committed to having you, committed to keeping you, and to working through with you. This can be in any context. It can be on the job. maybe because of the garden and dog, or it can be in your personal relationships because of the dog and house. In all cases, this is a strong relationship. The person wants to make this work. Very, very positive. In the bottom row, we see both the whip and the cross. So this is the more challenging line of your portrait. And we see the fish. The fish is typically associated with money and practical affairs. And so the issues could have been on that front. Maybe it was like a day-to-day matter or something in practical life that could have caused some differences here. And maybe this is actually an opportunity to work through these differences, so it can be things like, how you manage your time, how you manage your space, how you manage stuff, how you manage money, the more practical day-to-day things. And that's a good thing because usually these are easy things to work around if people are willing to make just a bit of compromise, so see what are those differences, like clarify them. And also with the cross, I would say prioritize these different issues. So when you come to, an agreement on what is more important than what and how you're going to manage these things, I think you're going to find that things work out really, really well. So take this as an opportunity to iron out these little differences here. In a more general way, I think the idea of making decisions about money, these can be bigger kinds of decisions. Maybe they have to do with, your living situation, how you live, where you live, and these questions could come into play. But again, I'm not saying that any decision is bigger than the relationship. I think this person at least, and I think yourself as well, you're committed to making this work. So anything that is an issue of conflict can be downsized relative to the importance of the relationship. And that, I think, is really good news. In the left-hand side column, we have the garden, key, and whip. And the garden and key is all about positive solutions. I think the key here is coordination. I read these two cards together as suggesting the idea of bringing different parts to common ground, which works out really well with what I just said for the bottom row. So the whip and key is actually an opportunity to brainstorm, to find solutions, and to bring differences to a common ground in order to resolve them. This is very possible, but I also want to say, Serpentine, that it might be necessary. So I want you to see this relationship as what it is, an important relationship. It is the connection with this person is more important than any other issues, but this doesn't mean that you ignore the issues. You might need to downsize them relative to the relationship, put them into perspective, but it doesn't mean that you do not deal with them. So give these issues the time and space that they deserve. Bring them on the table with the other person to resolve them, agree on a way forward, and you will find that this can even strengthen the relationship. And we did read the child, anchor, and cross here. Maybe there are some important decisions to be made. Again, sit down and make them. Be willing to play your part, to take responsibility for anything, and to be willing to give and take. And I think you will find that this supports the relationship very strongly. And finally, we have the dog, house, and fish. This is very good for your home life, your work life, your home business, your practical affairs. The house and fish are very good for all things discipline, building something in a solid way, making money off of your home or your assets. Very good for returns on investments. Relative to the relationship, I think we are looking at a strong connection here. Again, with the house being a card that is solid. T-cross is the central row here. We are looking at some very good foundations for moving forward, and I think you're going to find that you're able to make things work on the practical front with this person. Now, these cards can point to the work area, like we suggested, mainly because of the fish. And so in the context of your job or your business, I think you find that you're able to overcome any challenges. You're on the same page, you're part of the team, appreciated for everything. You play ball, and there is this kind of collaboration here. When it comes to intimate relationships, I have to wonder, Serpentine group, if this isn't about the more physical aspects of the relationship, mainly because of the fish, and also because it's at the lower corner on the right hand side of the portrait, which is where a lot of the lines they come together to the futuremost phase of the portrait. Now, if this is something that you want, I think it works out really, really well. But if it isn't, if you were looking for more romantic feelings, I fear that they're not really coming through in this portrait. So they could be happening, but what this portrait is bringing up is that kind of intimacy and attraction that is very much part of this relationship. And also when it comes to any relationship, including intimate relationships, I find that the friendship aspect is really strong, and that maybe this is a phase that you want to focus on the friendship side of the relationship. So it's not just about intimacy or the one-on-one personal relationship, but also having trust and a good friendship going. The type of person whom you can talk to about, just about anything. You know how to resolve conflict with them. You can talk honestly through issues so that you build a really transparent and close and supportive connection that is really well represented by the anchor. If you are single and you are wanting to go into a more personal relationship with this person, I think the message here, Serpentine group, is that you want to take your time with the friendship first. You want to let it build. You want to let the pieces come together in a logical way, in a step-by-step way. Make sure that side is solid first before you move into the more intimate aspects of the relationship. Otherwise, in general, regardless of context and the specifics of this relationship, I think you're able to overcome conflict. This person wants to overcome conflicts. They are seeing you as a supportive relationship, and this is how they are feeling right now. So I would say a very positive message. So let me know how you like these ideas, Serpentine group. I'm really looking forward to your thoughts and your comments. Until we meet again, very best of luck with this. Let me know how it plays out, and take very good care of yourself. Thank you so much for watching. Hello Cat's Eye group, here we are with your reading, and I have the 9 cards that I initially dealt out at the outset. I'm going to keep them in this order, as you may know is my preference, and we're just going to deal them out into this 9 card portrait to see what this person is thinking about you right now. Okay, Cat's Eye group, these are some lovely cards, I would say. We have the ring and the portrait, which is always good for relationships. We have the lovely moon, and we have what I think is going to look like some progress. And I also noticed that we have the 4 communication cards. We have the Rider, Letter, Bird, and the Book. Now the book tends to be about things that are closed off, but with the 3 other communication cards here, there is this idea of a conversation, some kind of dialogue that needs to happen. So I think this is the key thing that this person is thinking right now. They are thinking about talking to you about something, revealing something, announcing something, or possibly admitting something. So that is a really clear message coming through the cards. Let's go ahead and weave the different lines together into your overall portrait. We have the lily, bird, and moon. Now the bird and moon, I would say, is about an invitation or a proposal. The bird and moon can also refer to night and nighttime. Maybe this is about going somewhere, going out somewhere. Maybe this person wants to invite you out. This is really possible. The lily, in this sense, is a bit neutral. It is a slower kind of card, and I do think it's associated with the long term. When it comes to relationships, the lily is associated with long-term partnerships, the idea of growing old together, if you like. Now, in this context, it can mean that this person is taking their time to think about this invitation that they might extend to you, or this thing that they want to share with you, talk with you about. But it can also, in a broader sense, or maybe in a different sense, suggest that this person is thinking about the long-term implications of bringing up this topic, or possibly the long-term effects of this relationship with you. The idea of slowness and the long-term can come through the lily. The Rider, Bird, and Bear. Here we are seeing again this idea of communication. Of course, the bird is in the middle, so we're going to see it affect the cards in this way. But the Rider is also a card of communication. It is the card of the messenger, usually someone helpful who comes with information or support. And with the bird, we see here that it's about bringing news, the idea of sharing something. And the bear suggests something important. So this can be important news or an important invitation that comes through. And I also feel that this person could be gathering the courage to share this with you or to invite you. And this could be why we have the lily here, the reason why this person is taking their time in coming forward with this, either this thing they want to talk about or this invitation they want to extend to you. So the bear is that card that requires courage and, stepping up to the responsibility or to the fact. And when we see it on the other side of the bird, it can mean this idea of gathering the courage to do that and taking that big step forward, because to them it sounds like it's a big step to them. Now the lily, bear, and book, this is where the book is a bit more secretive, a bit more closed. It can mean with the lily that this person had this thought for a while. They've been wanting to open up about this for a while or extend that invitation for a while. And again, because of the bear, it can mean because it means a lot to them. So actually, this sounds like a good sign. It sounds like they're being thoughtful about this next step with you. They're really putting some thought and probably some heart into what this invitation or this opening up means to them. Now, when we look at the book, bird, and ring here, I'm seeing a lovely message. The ring and book together are usually a proposal of either marriage or engagement, or just wanting to be with someone in this sense. And when we have the bird in the middle, and we also notice that there are no negative cards around the bird, I feel this is very much a proposal or an invitation to connect. So in love relationships, it would be to commit, or maybe to go into a relationship if you're single. And in any other context, it is certainly an invitation to engage. For example, on the job, it can be about working with someone on something. It can be in your business where it's about committing to a customer. Any number of engagements can be represented by this combination. But again, it is very positive, and we see that this is what this person is thinking about, wanting to invite you to be with you, to connect with you in any number of ways, depending on your specifics. Another interesting indication I'm picking up is the lily and bear. Now, in my dictionary, the lily and bear tends to be associated with legal and administrative matters. So it's possible for some of you, at least, that the book and letter can point to official matters. The book and ring can point to an official kind of connection. And this can really add to the importance that is brought to the spread by the bear. So this can be a serious step forward for some of you, Cat's Eye group. The idea that this person is thinking of taking a serious step with you, announcing something that's more or less official. The letter, bird, and mountain is also another combination of communication. The letter and bird, very clear what this is about: an announcement, communication, news, emails. It can come in any format. The thing about the mountain is that it can represent the idea of distance here. So maybe this news is coming from a place that is farther away from you, even in a different city or a different country. But sometimes the mountain can represent the idea of a blockage. So there could have been some kind of communication blockage, and the book may well suggest that as well. We look at the central column, and a T crosses the central row and the central cross of the portrait. And so here we are seeing very clearly the idea of opening up, the idea of overcoming this phase of silence, the secrecy, and opening up and expressing. Very clear that this is what this other person is thinking right now. Very, very clear cards. In the bottom row, we have another very clear message of what this is about. The ring and moon is a proposal, like we saw the ring and book is a proposal, and the rider and ring is also a proposal. So the idea of the invitation to connect, to come together, to engage together is very, very clearly represented by the cards, and it is a consistently repeating theme. And that's because we have all of these communication cards, in light of the ring and moon, which is that sense of inviting, And the moon has that added sense of honor and gentleness. It also is about attraction. So all of these could be coming into play for you. This person is either wanting to connect with you on some level, or they're just outright attracted to you and they want to admit that to you. So it's exciting in any relationship, depending on which one you have in mind. Now, the Lily letter and rider, yet again, we're seeing another combination of communication. Letter rider, letter bird, bird book, bird ring, bird moon, all of these are about expressing and connecting. Definitely news is coming through. The letter and lily is a bit like the lily and bear, lily and book, bear and book. The idea of something a bit more official, like so it's like there's almost a formal element here. I feel that this person, wants to make it a point to connect with you, to invite you, to express this to you. And this can be in love, and it can be in work, in any area, like we suggested. But there is that sense of importance and of official energy that comes with this communication. And I think the bear really confirms that as well. And we did read the central column. The last column here on the right is interesting. The bear and mountain by themselves in my dictionary can suggest the idea of someone living abroad, someone who is based abroad. And with the moon here, there can be an invitation to either visit that person abroad, to connect with them in that place, or possibly to go somewhere together, maybe on a trip. It's not necessarily in a different country altogether, like, this abroad word that I use, but it could just mean getting away together somewhere. So this can be really exciting. Again, the mountain can represent this idea of a blockage or an obstacle. So it's possible that up to this point there was or this person had some kind of communication blockage. But because of the moon on the other side of the mountain and everything else we read in this portrait, it's very clear that they're going to come through, they're going to overcome their obstacle here, their blockage, and communicate and reach out. So I think these are some very beautiful cards, Cat's Eye Group, very exciting and also very clear in the message. The message is clear. This person is thinking of opening up to you, speaking out to you, inviting you, anything that is related to expressing interest in connecting or in deepening the connection. And like we said, it can apply in any number of contexts that you might have in mind. In relationships, it's lovely. This could be about commitment, possibly even marriage. In the work environment, it can be about wanting to engage you in some kind of work. In your business, it could be connecting with partners or maybe customers. So it can be really, really exciting at this point. There is that sense of invitation, reaching out, and this is going to engage you further in the connection. So these are my thoughts for you, Cat's Eye Group. The idea of this person is thinking about reaching out to you and expressing or deepening the connection. So it's very clear to me what this is about, Cat's Eye Group. This person wants to reach out to you. They are thinking about getting in touch for a number of possibilities depending on the context, but the idea of connecting and deepening the relationship, whatever that relationship may be for your specifics, is very clearly captured in the cards. I think most cards are neutral. The moon is really the gentle card. What is key is that I think there is a strong connection here thanks to the ring and moon, and also a commitment to the relationship to some extent, at least at this stage. So very, very lovely cards, I'd say, Cat's Eye Group. Let me know your thoughts on this. Let me know who it might be in your life that you think is captured here. I'm really looking forward to your thoughts and your comments. And until we meet again, very best of luck with this. Let me know how it goes, and I'm looking forward to our next reading together. Thank you so much for watching. Okay, Opalite, here we are with your cards. These are the 9 cards that I initially dealt out at the beginning, and we are just going to keep them in this order, as you might know I like to do, and deal them out into the portrait to see what this person is thinking about you at this time, or about your relationship. Okay, Opalite Group, I'm seeing a challenging message here. I am seeing that this person is thinking of moving on. And I have to wonder, Opalite Group, if you don't reciprocate, and the reason is because I see the road at the top of the portrait here, at the top left. So we have this very clear combination that comes through. The coffin and scythe is a clear ending, and we also have the snake on the right hand side. It's possible that this person wants to move away. We also have a very clear triplet at the top here, all 3 movement cards, the idea of change and moving on, moving away. So I don't know if you reciprocate in this regard, Opalite group. I hope you do, but in all cases, I am seeing a beautiful sun here, which makes me wonder if it isn't right for the two of you. We also have the Man card, which really brings into the picture this relationship. So it's not just an involvement with something, it is clearly a person. So let's go ahead and weave the different lines together. The Road, Heart, and Man could have passed for a supportive combination or triplet of cards in the context of a relationship, but because of all of the other change cards, I'm more inclined to read the Road as a letting go. The thing about the Road is that it can mean a coming or a going. It depends. It goes in both directions. So it depends on other cards. Typically, when it comes to relationships, the Road tends to be more on the leaving end, because the Road represents the Queen of Diamonds, and the Queen of Diamonds is known to be someone who's a bit flaky, changeable, not really settled on anything. So when it comes to relationships, the Road tends to be a no strings attached kind of card, and so it's more associated with the idea of leaving. Now with the Heart on the other side of it, it could have suggested a relationship that moves forward, or perhaps you're exploring options. But because of all the other cards here, I think there is a stronger indication of the idea of leaving. So that's what I'm going to settle on for this first diagonal. And when we look at the second one, we have the Coffin, Heart, and Ship. And I feel this can really be this idea of wanting to take time out, wanting to either straight up end the relationship, and also, wanting to put things on hold because of the Coffin. Now, because of these two cards, the Road and Ship in the first two diagonals, there is also the possibility of not wanting to commit to anything at this stage, wanting to explore things. And of course, this is in addition to the possibility of just straight up wanting to end the relationship. Now, looking at this top row, we have all three cards are movement, change, travel cards. The Road is about changes. It's also about options, being at the proverbial fork in the road. The Stork and Ship is a combination that can mean migration, like straight up migration, moving countries. And so when we see these three cards together, there's a very, very clear message of change, movement, leaving, going, and traveling. So of course, in the context of a relationship, the idea, and in light of these other cards, the idea is more about leaving the relationship. But there might be a travel aspect that applies to some of you within the Opalite group, where this person has to literally leave. And so this ending here is not necessarily the ending of a relationship, but it is the idea that this person is leaving. So this can create an issue for the relationship or how you keep connecting. Now the Sun, Heart, and Snake could have possibly been a somewhat supportive combination for relationships, mainly because the Sun is so powerful that it can improve the Snake. The Snake is really tricky in relationships, and the Snake can represent a third party. This is the card of cheating, of dishonesty, and love triangles when it comes to relationships. And with the Heart, I have to wonder, Opalite group, if there isn't a third party in the picture, if there isn't someone else that is either interfering in the relationship, or perhaps this person that you have in mind for the reading is interested in someone else. But I also have to put it out there that it's possible that you are thinking of someone else or leaving the relationship. You have someone else in mind, and so in this case, this person that we have in mind for you for the reading is aware of that, or is thinking whether you are cheating on this person. It's a blunt way to put it, but I can put it out there. Okay, so these are possibilities. Bottom row, very clear. Coffin, Scythe is an ending, Man, relationship. So this can mean the end of the relationship. I think this person is thinking about it. Maybe you reciprocate. Maybe this person has, has a feeling that you're interested in someone else and they're going to move on, or perhaps they're interested in someone else and they're going to move on. I have to also note, Opalite, that the bottom row is the manifestation row. Typically in a portrait, we don't have to assign this indication to it, but it can be. And so we see this is like the bottom line, like what happens in physical life. The road, sun, and coffin, I would say this is the end of the road. It's interesting that we see the sun, because the sun is an all-around positive card, and this is what got me to think about, whether you perhaps reciprocate, you feel the same way, and so it can actually be relieving. We have lots of release and change cards in this portrait. Coffin, scythe, and these top three. There is this idea of, oh, I just want this off my back, I just want this to end, I just want to move on. And we see here that it's very likely that this person reciprocates. And this column, T crosses the central row. And again, we're seeing this idea of leaving. Notice the arrow, the road, snake, and coffin. Very clear, this idea of leaving, of moving on. And this is, it seems, the right thing to do. The stork, heart, and scythe. Another challenging combination, because the scythe and heart is usually a heartbreak. So this is like almost a bleeding heart, and with the stork here, there is this idea of leaving. Again, I feel this possibility of relief is in the cards, or at least it's possible for some of you. The idea that you just want to move on, get over this. I have to say, though, Opalite group, that maybe the other person feels this way as well. They feel that this is really painful to them, and they just want to move on. And then ship, snake, and man, very clear, this idea of moving on. The ship and snake is turning away, just letting go whatever was behind you and just moving forward. And the man can be the person who moves on, obviously. And the snake has this energy of whatever, just letting it go, So here, it's the opposite of being confrontational about a situation. The snake is calm and quiet. It's very calculating. So when it moves away in the face of disappointment, it just turns away. It just walks away. It doesn't run. It's not reactive in these ways. So I feel that this person could have just given up on this and feels that, enough pain, enough trouble, and just moving on. And like I said, this idea of cheating, dishonesty is possible, Opalite group, I'm sorry to say, but I have to wonder if it might not be you, or you reciprocate and you want to move on. In all cases, Opalite group, I have to say that the cards are super clear. The message is very, very clear. There is a turning away and an ending is possible. If you're not seeing a straight up ending, I would say something needs to change. The direction of the relationship needs to change. And it might be also really good to give time and space to let go for a while, to, hands off for some time, and to do your thing and the other person do their thing. Now, I think the idea of love and those sorts of relationships, close relationships, seem to be what's indicated in the cards. But it doesn't mean that this can't apply to a different context for some of you. So for example, the obvious other example is the job, your work life, whatever form that takes, whether you have a job or a business, or you do things on your own, in your own way. This can point to a fallout in a partnership, or something that goes wrong in a partnership that creates a change, or something about it needs to end, and something that was that you were working through doesn't work out and it needs to change in that sense. So that context is also possible. And in fact, any context is possible, but I would assume that if you took the trouble to sit down for this pick a card, then it would be someone who is reasonably relevant to your situation in your life. So Opalite group, I think you get the most challenging interpretation. You get the most challenging cards for this pick a card. Remember that we used one deck to cover all four readings, so all the cards are going to figure in this pick a card somewhere, and your reading is the one that gets the clear message of an ending. I do appreciate always the clarity of Lenormand, and I'm really looking forward to how you've resonated with these cards. So let me know, leave me your thoughts and comments. I'm really looking forward to them. I would say, Opalite, before leaving you, just a piece of advice is to let go. There could be a really good reason for this, and I would say there's no need to make too much of a fuss. I fear that if you do, you might regret. I prefer that you follow the advice of the snake and to just let it go, and also follow your road, follow your signs, keep moving forward. And also, I would say, other people are entitled to their feelings, to their thoughts about the relationship. If it's a bit difficult on you, I'd say give yourself space and also give the other person space, and then let me know how it goes on from there. So very best of luck with this Opalite. Please let me know how it goes again. I'm really looking forward to that. And until we meet again, take very good care of yourself, and thank you so much for watching.